Good evening, everyone. A bit of a change of plan tonight. I'm away, so bear it with me. I'm not normally at home, but I was having the lovely Sophie B coming on tonight. But unfortunately, Sophie is not very well, so she's just messaged me to say that she's really, really sorry, but she just got a really bad migraine and she's not going to come. So the subject I've changed. Whoever that is, say hi. Whoever that is, it'd be nice to know who you are. But I'm going to change the subject slightly just because of that, because obviously she was going to talk about the apprenticeship side of things. But this is all about apprenticeships as well. But it's really about how to handle negative behavior. Now, whether you can use this in your businesses on your normal team, or you can actually use this with your apprentices, it doesn't really matter. But it's just some of the things that sometimes I've been asked. So I did make some notes when I was going to do a live later on in the week about it, but obviously now Sophie's not very well. Hi, if you're just joining me and that's why she's not here, you've got me instead, and I'm away at the moment, so I'm in my hotel room, so I'm not in my usual place, so just hopefully the internet will be fine. But I'm just going to talk about how to handle negative attitude within the business with your apprentices and also with your own staffs, which would really help you. So hopefully this will be great. One of the things that I think when you're looking at anybody or any team member is there's three things that when you're employing somebody is skills. What skills do they have? What knowledge do they have? And what attitude do they have? And I think if their attitude is really negative, the chances of the other stuff just go out the window. I can train in skills, I can give knowledge, but trying to change somebody's attitude is very difficult to be able to do. So whoever that is who said hi, if you click on StreamYard, okay, then I'll be able to see who you are. You have to let StreamYard know that you're happy for me to see who's commenting. So whoever said hi and wave, I can't wave or hi back to you because I don't know who you are. So okay, so what constitute as bad attitude? I think most of us know that, but these are the things that I would look at if I was looking at what somebody's attitude was lateness, maybe careless performance and not always doing a job really well, lazy, rude to you and to others within the team and clients, spreading or creating rumours, or anything that threatens the positive culture in where you work. I think for me, that's a real big red flag if any of those things start coming up. Remember, however, everyone has bad days. It's more about if it's always constant and it's always that way. Whatever happens, that I call them the Debbie Downers. The ones that it doesn't matter what you say, they're always going to turn around and have some kind of negative attitude back to you. And I think for apprentices, you need to recognise that very, very quickly, as you do with any team member, because it's a little bit like having a bad apple within the business. If you have a bad apple, long-term wise, that has a massive negative effect on everybody else and everybody's mindset and how you feel as a person. So it's really important that you recognise it quickly and you deal with it. And I think as salon owners, sometimes, I think because we have so much empathy for people and we are natural nurturers, I think we're people that because we're mums, most of us are women, and most of us have had children. I'm not saying people that haven't had children that haven't got the same, I'm sure they have, but what I mean is that we tend to want to look after everybody. But it's something, and anything that makes us feel uncomfortable to deal with is one of those things we put off doing. And actually, if you don't deal with it, it will have a really bad thing on the rest of your business, because it's a little bit like negativity is always stronger than positivity. And I like to show people how that works. I mean, you can try this little thing at home. You get somebody to put their arm out like this, and you get them to repeat 10 times, I'm a strong, independent woman, I'm a strong, independent woman, for 10 times. Then try and push their arm down. And it's very difficult to push their arm down because they're telling themselves they're strong. So negativity, if you sat and did exactly the same and said, I'm a weak person, I'm a weak person 10 times, then went to push that arm down, you'd find that arm would go very quickly, very lightly. And that's what negativity is like. It will feed into your business, it will feed amongst everybody else, and it just causes so much destruction for your culture within your business, which then has negative on everybody. So it's really important you deal with it. Okay, so what we need to recognize is it's normally someone who doesn't want to collaborate with others. They don't want to join in. They might not like working in a team, and they're very selfish when completing tasks. They're arrogant about their performance, lazy, never on time, aggressive towards other people, so they're on the defense all the time, always gossiping, taking credit for what other people have done, and just basically constantly on their phone. That's one of those things. But one of the most important things you need to do is call out poor attitude. So don't ignore it, and take them to one side. So don't do it in front of other people. And I think we always have a tendency when we're angry or to actually make it into a big thing with other people. So you need to take people to one side. So the first thing you want to do straight away, if this is happening, is to ask the other person or the apprentice and a time, okay, where you can sit down for both of you conveniently to meet, and away from the workplace if you can. I mean, when I used to have my salon, I used to take people out for coffee. That's what I used to do, because remember when you take people in front of other people, or you do something that they jump on the defense. So the best thing is to take somebody away from wherever that is happening and just have a chat with them. And then also you need to be somewhere where you're not going to be interrupted, so you can basically talk to them on a one-to-one basis without somebody knocking on the door. And explain to them the behavior. So focus on the behavior and the event, and not on their personalities. I think it's very easy when we're in these situations to say, you're always like this, you're always like doing this, you're always that type of behavior. But actually what you need to do is focus on the behavior. So when I'm ever giving negative feedback, I will say something like, just say, for instance, I'll do my sister's name because no one's going to get offence. So my sister Judith. So I say, Ju, one of the things that really upsets me when you do this, and then explain the behaviour. So for instance, if she's somebody that is in your salon, as in that, you know, every time you say something in a team meeting, she'll be the first person to go, actually, this and this, or we think this and this. Remember, when people say we, you want to call that out as well, and just say to them, who did you all get together at the same time and say that, or was there one particular person that brought it up? Because that's the person, because people follow other people. So very often it's not that they feel like that, but they might follow what that person has said, because it's easier to do that than actually tackle that behavior. Okay, so say to somebody, when this happens, instead of when you do. Okay, so when this happens, this makes me uncomfortable, makes me feel sad, makes me feel angry. So say that to them and say, and then listen to the other person once, and ask them, why do you do that? What is the reasons you do that? And then let them talk. And it's very difficult. I think one of the things, as most people, we hate silence. We hate to literally sit there and wait for somebody to say something. So we tend to interrupt before that person's had time to actually think and come up with the reasons why they felt that. So you will sometimes get people that will say, I don't know, really, I've had that before. So why is that? So just keep going back with the open questions until they come up with the reasons why they feel like that. So avoid interrupting them when they're talking, even if you want to jump on the defense, as in, well, I didn't say that. Let them talk. Let them say whatever they've got to say. And after the person's actually spoken, repeat back to them what they've said. Okay, just so that I understand you. I just want to make sure this is what you've said to me. Is that correct? Okay, and then ask some questions to clarify. You'll make sure that you've got the right understanding and why they're saying it. So then the next thing is really to identify points of agreement and disagreement. So summarize with them the areas of agreement and disagreement. So for instance, I'll give you an example. You said that you felt that you're always being picked on. Explain that to me, because I don't feel that that is what's happening, but give me an example of when that's happened. Okay, get them to give you the facts of when that's happened, and then listen again. Ask the person if they agree with what you're saying. So for instance, you can say at the end of that, when you behave in this way, it makes other people feel uncomfortable. Would you agree with that? Okay, so get them to agree with that. And if they disagree with that, why do you think that is? So get them to explain to you why they don't think that is. Modify your assessment until both of you agree. So basically then you need to come to some kind of agreement of why that's happening. Okay, so in other words, calling them out, okay, and getting them to explain and then agree why that shouldn't be happening anymore. Okay, and then discuss which areas of conflict are more important to each of you to resolve. So if there's several things, so it could be that the lateness, like maybe they're late, maybe they're never helping people in the salon. And again, we tend to be very sort of like, you're always late, but that might not be the case. They might have been late twice that week. So it has to be very specific. So on Saturday, you were late. You're normally in, you need to be here at 5 to 9, but you're always here at 9:30. That's again being very general. So you need to be specific about when they're late and how they're late. Or if you're saying they're lazy and they're not helping people, you need to be specific about what that was that you recognized that when they did it. So when Sally was cleaning the salon before she went home on Thursday, you already had your coat on at 5:25. So do you think that is showing team effort? That's, if it was the other way round and she did that to you, how would you feel? So again, being very specific about what's happened. Then sit down with them and say, be very specific at where you want to see improvement. So if you want to see them being on time every day, you need to say to them, so what I need you to do, I need to see a massive improvement in the next 2 or 3 weeks, that you are always on time for work. Okay. And that will be measured, and you can do what's called a development plan. So how I do these is I list all the things that I need to see improvements on. So for instance, it could be you're being on time to work. I won't put the negative side on them, ensuring you're here by this time, ready to be on the floor. Or at in the evenings when we're all clearing up, this is going to be your jobs, and I need to see you doing those jobs and not having your coat on at 5:25, whatever time you finish. And they need to be listed. So all the positives need to be lifted of the behavior you want them to be. And then you will write on that, okay, with a time of when that needs to be achieved by, that you're going to revisit them in a week and see if there's been any improvements. Now, they may make significant improvement, but not completely. So then the next week you would write where they've improved, but where you still want to develop further. And that can be done over a 4-week period. I think if in 4 weeks you're still having the same behaviors and there's no change, that's a massive red flag to me, as that person has no intention of changing and their attitude is not the right attitude for the workplace. And then make sure you follow through on that plan. So if you say you're going to meet with them next Saturday at 4:00 and discuss it to see if there's been any improvements, you need to stick to that and make sure that you do that, so that they know that you're going to follow up with that. It's a little bit like having naughty children, like when you say, I hear mums say to their kids something like, if you do that again, then you're never ever going to be able to watch YouTube again. That's too broad and too big the chances of that happening is not going to happen. But if you say you will only be able to watch YouTube on a Thursday if this happens again, and that's the only day, then that is achievable and can be done. And it's the same with people in the workplace. You need to make sure you do that. Okay, you need to describe the behavior, you need to show them, you need to listen to them, because people have bad things going on in their lives. You know, sometimes I've had really good staff and then all of a sudden they become absolutely a nightmare. Everything goes to pot, and it's normally because of their lives, you know, their you know, what's happening at home. I'm not saying you ignore it when that happens. What you do is you show them empathy and you understand, but you also then address that this can't happen because it has a massive effect on the rest of the team and obviously for you, and it's a stressful situation to be under. So that's one of the main things. So again, follow through on your plan, stick with the discussions until you've worked through each area that you want to improve. Okay, maintain collaborative, and let's work out a solution. How are we going to get this? How are we going to make this better? What do you suggest? What do you think needs to happen to make this a better place and a better work environment to be inside? And I think it's also to make sure you've always got open communication within your staff, so people can come to you and address issues. You know, like if you're somebody that's very busy on the floor and can't speak, have a time when people can come and actually speak to you and be open about how they feel. And it's okay, do you know what I mean, not to be everybody's friend. I mean, when you're leading a team, okay, then you need to be the boss, and leadership is about showing people which is the right way to do it, and that also means that you can't get bogged down in negative stuff. So if somebody's gossiping about another member of staff and you're there and you don't address it, okay, then you're saying that's okay to do, and it's not. And the same is if somebody makes you angry, okay, I always used to say to the managers that I've trained, spew up, don't spew down, because if you're the person that's de-edifying somebody, so like if you're a new manager and you're de-edifying the boss or the leader or whoever you've got in your business, then actually when you need that person to go back to support you, the person that you've de-edified that person to, they're not going to listen. So you need to be the leader, and when you muck up, you need to admit it. So like, for instance, there's been times in my business when I've lost my temper. There's been times when I've maybe called somebody out in front of somebody, because we're human and we do that, and that's absolutely fine. I think the problem is when we don't admit when we do stuff. So like, I can honestly tell you, if I make a mistake, I'll give you a prime example of when it happened. I did a spreadsheet a couple of weeks ago, for our inductions, and I'd done it. I'd literally been doing it at home, and I'd been working on it because I wanted it to be a certain way, and I hadn't saved it, or I thought I'd saved it, but I hadn't. So my conversation was with someone in the office was, hi, I think it was with Lewis actually, ringing Lewis, and I said, Lewis, I said, I don't know who's done it, but somebody's been on my spreadsheet and it's really done my head in because it's this and this. So he looked, and on Excel you can tell when things have gone wrong, who's done it, and it actually was me where I hadn't saved it. But he came back to me and said, Sarah, I know this is not going to be easy for you, but you did it. And then when he says that, I went, oh my God, yes, I did. Do you know what I mean? I'm so sorry. But it's fine to be like that, because you're human and you make mistakes. It's much better to be honest, or even to the point where I'll say to people, look, I'm going to go because I'm not in a good place at the moment. So I'm just going to go home. I sometimes go home and spend a couple of days at home, and they don't see me in the office at all if I'm not in a good state myself, because I don't deal with situations very well when you're emotional. When you're emotional, you will always end up mucking that situation up. You need to go away, think about it, and then follow all the stages that I've just gone through. Avoid arguments. You don't want arguments. You're not there to, you're the boss and this is what's got to happen. These are the actions that need to be taken. You don't want to get into an argument, okay? And make sure that, like I said, you allow open open questions and stuff like that. And then the next thing is to check regularly with your staff, because some things do happen at home, and people change, and you don't know what's going on. So check in regularly with the people that work for you. How's it going? How is there anything that you need help with? And like I said, know when to say goodbye. And final, which I think we're all very, very not so good at doing, is actually then admitting that we need to say goodbye to people. And if that person is not fitting in with your culture or having a negative behavior constantly, and even though you've sat there and you've gone through the development plan, be very honest. I mean, even with apprentices, I have said to them, if they don't improve, and even if it's further down, I'll say to them, if you don't improve, then I'm not going to be able to offer you a full-time position at the end of this. So unless I see this improvements, that is what's going to happen. And I think I was speaking to a salon owner not long ago, where I think they'd had a young apprentice that had actually written them an email. Bear in mind that they're quite scared sometimes to come to you because they see you as this scary person. So that's what I'm trying to say. Make sure you're approachable, make sure that you've understood what they're saying, and have that person in and be calm, and only speak to them when you're in the right place. So I hope that's helped. Somebody mentioned it to me, so they would like to know more about that and how to deal with people. That's how I deal with people. I'm very, very transparent, very honest. Make sure that they listen to you. Have the self-belief that you can handle that. Don't put off conflict. Don't put off having those conversations, because they will only get worse and they'll only fester. And if anything, they always have a bad, it affects the rest of the team, and people don't respect you. And as a leader, you need to be respected, not liked all the time, because you're the one that's got to make the difficult decisions about such things. So I hope that's helped tonight. I'm sorry that it wasn't Sophie B and that you had me instead, but like I said, she's very poorly. I'm not doing a live tomorrow night, but I am doing one on Wednesday. I've got the beautiful Nikki. She's one of our salon owners. She's employed lots and lots of apprentices over her time, and she trains them within the salon. She's literally built her business using this system, and I know that she dedicates her time to training them really well, and has a very profitable salon. So I'm really looking forward to having her on Wednesday, and I hope that you enjoy that. So that's Wednesday at 7 p.m. Nothing tomorrow, because like I said, I'm away. So I'm back at home. I'll be able to do that. Thanks, Sarah. Couldn't StreamYard, not sure how to use. Oh, it's just literally, you just need to click on the thing at the top, and I think you just click on the little duck, and then it'll basically say, are you happy to share your name? And you just press yes, and then I can see who it is. But sometimes when I go on Facebook, I can see. I just can't see when it's like this. So I hope you've enjoyed today. Any questions, feel free to message me, and I'll try and answer them as much as I can. Anything that you want me to cover over the next few weeks, let me know, and I'll cover more and more of stuff that I know. Thanks a lot, guys. See you later.